Welcome to the Family First Retirement Podcast with George Politarhos. For more information, visit betrayowealth.com. Now, let's get to the show.
Mr. George Politarhos. Hey, great event earlier this week. Talking to the community. How did it go?
It was fantastic, Mark. We had a seminar, a dinner seminar this past week at Harry's Savoy Restaurant right here on Naaman's Road. It's an educational seminar, Mark. So we had a great event. We talked about the really important things that people are looking at for retirement. We talk about how much risk you have. Is it too much risk? We talk about income, having a written income plan. We talk about that nasty word, Mark. It's probably the scariest 5 letters in the English language put together. Taxes. It's terrible, and people think it just occurs. And then we speak about legacy planning and long-term care. Pretty much everything we talk about when we sit down with our clients or family members on a one-on-one basis, making sure we understand where we're at, where we're going to go, how we're going to go, and make sure we're in the right place.
You talked about the 3 key pillars: risk, income, and taxes. That's the conversation that we have every weekend here on Family First Retirement.
It is, because it's what we need to know about. You know, we had our golf outing, Mark, which I was so blessed that you came up and partook in. And we had a great time for Bets for Vets, help the veterans in our area. And we're still writing checks out to local veteran services, which I love it. I just love hearing it. One of the things we talked about is that you get mulligans at golf outings. You can buy a sleeve of mulligans for $20 for a donation. Retirement's not like that, though. There are no mulligans, because when you retire, you want to make sure you get to go into the sunset. Go and walk west into the sunset and have that great view and happiness as you go forward. You really do. So you have to plan for it, because it just doesn't occur. What we talk about is, how much risk do you really need in retirement? You still need risk, folks. If anyone out there tells you you don't need risk in retirement, they're misleading you. Because we have this nasty thing that we're still living with after 36 months called inflation. Inflation in a perfect world would be about 3.5%, 3%. That's when the country runs really efficiently. We're still dealing with 4.5%, 5% inflation. So you have to think about that. If I don't have risk, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to last long enough? Because I love history, Mark. I think I've told you in the past that I wanted to be a history teacher, because I think history is such a great story. You learn from the past. You learn from trends. So you can't predict the future. None of us can. But you get a better view of what the future looks like. So we're in this thing called a 16-year bull market. So a bull market, folks, is when the market has increased in value without having a correction go forward. So we're at 16 years right now. Since about 2012, we've been in this market. We're doing great since it turned around. The average bull market lasts how long, Mark? How long do you think an average bull market lasts?
Well, you said this one's 16 years, so I'm going to say, you said that's kind of an anomaly. I'm going to say 8 to 10 years.
Great analogy. 7 to 9.
Okay.
So we doubled it already. What do you think has to happen? We have to have a correction in this market. So let's think about it. We had something happen in 2020. What was that thing? What was that crazy thing happen in 2020?
I've still got PTSD.
That COVID stuff goes, right? Yes. That should have been the turning point. But our government didn't want that to happen. The market stopped trading, so your 401k stopped trading. They shut down the markets for your EFTs, for all your investables, 7 times in 12 days in March, trying to stop the bleeding. And then the government spent $7 trillion that we don't have. Them and Hasbro had a great time. They got to print money that didn't exist. So now we feel the effects of this inflation coming. So you have to think about that. If you see the market going up, let's start putting a little arrow coming down. Inflation's eating away. We still have high interest rates, don't we, Mark? That's a little notch down. The geopolitical system in this world, I'm going to be 60, come up the end of this year. I cannot remember a time in my lifetime when more countries hated each other than they do right now. And we have President Trump, who is trying to do a great job. He has some aggressive things going on. And if it works out, great. But at least I think we can all discuss that the next 4 years are going to be kind of interesting. That all leads us to a conclusion that we have to have some type of correction in this market. And when's that going to happen, Mark? I don't have a darn idea, but neither does anybody else. Yes.
I feel like
hand raised.
Yeah, you said you wanted to be an educator, like you wanted to be a teacher. So I feel like I'm the kid in the front row. I got my hand up.
There you go.
Mr. Cotta, 302-330-2166. When you hear correction and educate me, is that like another word for saying, or another way of saying a potential recession?
It is.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're going to see a downward swing in the market. And when you're working, Mark, let's think about this. When you're working and you have a correction in the market, like you had in 2000, like you had in 2007, like you had in 2020, if you're still working, it's not as bad as when you're retiring because you're still buying in with your 401k. You're still buying. So you're getting a cost average, right? You're buying at a low market because you're still buying into the market, buying those stocks when the price is dropping. It's having a sale at Bloomingdale's that you're buying a great deal at. But when you get to retirement, you're not buying anymore. You're using, you're pulling. So you're not the advantage that you had before. When you think about that, folks, that's one of the reasons we get for the seminars together, to educate you. Give me a call, 302-330-2166. Let's see how that works for you. Because at this stage of our lives, what are we doing? We're not accumulating wealth. We're managing our wealth. We're making sure this money lasts for the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life. And that's what's so important about that.
That number is 302-330-2166. Again, 302-330-2166. Kind of recapping one of the great educational dinner seminars that George and the team at the Betrayal Wealth Group had a couple of weeks ago. And do you allow the opportunity to a little one-on-one Q&A? Because I know you ask questions, but maybe I have a question that I don't want the whole room to really know my business. You have a little one-on-one time with you?
I do. I do not take questions during our seminars, only because, Mark, just what you said. I need to ask some other pertinent questions of you to give you the right answer.
Sure.
Personal information. A, B, if we have a dinner, I want to make sure we have our dinner in a timely fashion too. Afterwards, while we're collecting our response sheets, I'm free to talk to people on one-on-one. We pull aside, we have those conversations to go through. But that's really the stepping stone to get that one-on-one time with us. Come in the office here at 501 Silverside Road, and let's sit down, have a good cup of coffee, and let's really dive into those questions, because I talked for myself here. When I was in 4th grade, 5th grade, and the teacher wrote a math problem up on the board, and she made it or he made it look so simple, and I had no idea what the heck he or she was talking about.
Right.
And anyone have a question? Did you ever raise your hand? I surely did not, because I didn't want people to think I was stupid.
Yeah.
Right? That's the same thing during these seminars. A lot of times you're scared to ask those questions because you won't want to look foolish to your peers. I think that some of the things I'm proud of everything I do. I really am. I love what I do for a living. But I think the best part about this is I keep things very simple, because retirement is a gray area for most people. Gray being not sure when you can retire. How much is it going to cost your retirement? Is there an IRMA problem with my Medicare and Social Security? Do I have to worry about raising costs? Can I afford to retire? We take it and make it extremely black and white. Just the facts. Sergeant Friday from Dragnet, I give you the facts in basic English so you know what we're talking about. And we use common sense, or common English, I guess, simple English. I am not a doctor. I can't fit a Band-Aid on my hand. I am not an engineer.
Yeah.
I can't change the oil in my truck. And when they talk to me sometimes about the catalytic converter and the
flux capacitor and the TPS report.
Going back in time, I keep it simple because we all are on the same level. And if you need more complex answers and bigger words, I'll get a thesaurus out, I guess.
We've all got Google.
Yes, but we want to make sure it's simple for us, straightforward, so we can make a logical, educated decision moving forward for retirement. And that's what we do for our seminars.
Thank you for saying that, though. I kind of have the same agreement with my wife. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. So you just mentioned, you're like, look, man, I don't know how to change my oil. I've never had to do it before. You know, I don't know how to fix a broken arm. That's not my lane. Like in my house, I'll be the first one to admit, if something breaks, we've got two options. I can try and fix it, and I'll make it worse, or then we can call the electrician, and they can make it better from the beginning. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know as well. So I appreciate you saying that. Like, your lane is helping build retirement strategies and these great educational seminars. And we're going to try to have a couple more before the end of the year, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have one in South Jersey, definitely. And we're probably coming back to North Wilmington. We had one last month up at the beautiful area of King of Prussia near our new office. And so, yeah, we're going to have another one before at least the end of the year.
Perfect. So to get ahead of it, if you want to go ahead and call George and say, hey, look, I know it's not officially on the date, but I do want to sit down. I want to be a part of one of these great educational seminars. Feel free to reach out to the team at any time, 302-330-2166 or online at patriawealth.com, P-A-T-R-I-A wealth.com. And when we're talking about putting retirement strategies together, George, there's nothing wrong with calling you and the team at the Portray Wealth Group and saying, George, I know what I don't know, and I don't know where I stand in my journey towards retirement. Nothing wrong with that simplistic of a question.
Let's be realistic. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We have a couple coming in next week. I'll call them Charlie and Sue. Maybe a little young for what we do is for the retirement aspect, but not for the planning aspect. She's 50, he's 52, 53. We're starting now, and they're in a great place. They have done a fantastic job so far. They have questions. How are we going to get to the right step? I want to get another house. What's the best way for us to buy our vacation house? We have daughters going to school. What's the best way to fund our college? That's where we're at. That's our job. And we're helping them get those plans together because you need to. Mark, you are fantastic at the radio business. A great host, a great voice, a great personality. Truly are. And I am really lucky to have you as a friend. But I hate to say this, Mark, I don't think you could do our side of the job.
Oh, God, no.
It's just not your spot.
God.
So that's why we do what we do. I like vanilla ice cream. You like chocolate. That's why we work together. Mm-hmm. And that's how I look at it when we talk to our clients. When you give us a call, 302-330-2166, we're going to have our areas of expertise. You're going to educate me, folks. I'm going to tell you right now. You're going to educate me about what your wants, needs, and desires are. What your goals are, what your fears are. Are you allowed to have fears in retirement? You're darn right you can have fears. But our job is to help you get past those fears and get in the right place. We're going to help you move forward as a team, as a family member, and as part of the Betrayal Wealth Group. 302-330-2166. Give us a call. Let's schedule that no-cost, no-obligation meeting just to start the process. The what if, George.
Yep.
If I do X, how am I going to affect Y? And let's make sure we're on the same page.
You know, I've been to your office before many times, George Politarhos, and, you know, I'll see some files sitting around or some informational documents and, you know, just some of the literature that you have. And I'll just glance and I'll be like, I have no clue what this newsletter says. Like, it could seriously be written in Greek. And I'm like, all right.
I was just going to say that to you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the exact same to me. But that's okay. I want you to be knowledgeable. I need you to be ahead of the game. 302-330-2166. There's nothing wrong with asking the question. And we get it every weekend. Every week we get calls from people that just simply say, George, I'm worried about running out of money in retirement. There's nothing wrong with asking that simplistic of a question. 302-330-2166 or online, patriawealth.com, P-A-T-R-I-A wealth.com. George, you just mentioned it. You had a couple come in recently. You're meeting with a couple a little bit younger in their early 50s. And you said earlier you're bumping up against it. You're about to hit that milestone birthday, George. 60.
Yeah.
60 years old. But
yes, sir.
You're Gen X. I'm Gen X. That couple, Gen X. It's weird to think, George, that
what is Gen X? I don't know any of that terminology.
Gen X,
I really don't. Okay.
Gen X generally between the ages of 45 and 60 right now. And then before us are the boomers. And then you get into millennials and alphas and all that jazz. But
so Leslie's a boomer. I'm a Gen X.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's a little jab.
Well, what I heard was you got you an older woman. All right.
I did.
Yes, sir. But I want to talk to the Gen X crowd now because we, George, I mean, we grew up on Nirvana and Soundgarden and baggy pants and plaid oversized button downs. But now we're having to start thinking about our retirement. That doesn't feel right, George, but it's true. The Gen X crowd is bumping up against really getting serious about their retirement strategies. And I saw a good article in USA Today that said for Generation X, retirement bites. It said that Gen X, we don't think, and I'm saying we don't think that we've saved enough for retirement. We wish we had started saving sooner. And we also fear outliving our savings. You're starting to see that, George. You just mentioned it. They're coming into your office. They're making the phone calls. What do you say when they confront you with these uncertainties about their retirement?
They're very smart Gen X, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're very computer savvy. They're on top of everything. And they're trying to get ahead of the curve, which is the best way to be. Two things happen. They have this magical number. They've heard the Google and the AI tells them that you need a certain number to retire. Whatever the number is, Mark, throw a number, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever in retirement.
Yeah.
That truly, folks, and I say it all the time, is a unicorn. It's a magical, mystical figure. It's different for everybody. Would I like to have more money? $10 million, 20? Sure. Who wouldn't want to have more? But do I need that much to retire? Answer is no, because we are different. We all have different lifestyles, different wants, different needs, different desires. Maybe you're 65 years old retiring and you bought a new house. You have a 30-year mortgage. We need more money. Your house is paid off. You want to start traveling. We need a certain amount of money to be able to fund our lifestyle. And really, when we get to this stage, it's how we position the buckets of income for retirement, the streams of income. You have taxable accounts. You have tax-free and tax diversified. How are we going to pull for them? When are we going to take it? How are we going to make that money last? Which bucket do we pull from? These are all things that a tax strategy go to work with, along with the retirement plan. It's getting ahead of the curve. Because think about this. You're not 30 years old anymore. You're 60. I was working in the yard last week, digging up stuff. It's getting that fall season, trying to get things moved around. I can do it. I don't need to call Alex or Jared. I got this. I sweat like a pig, me and my, chubby self. The next day, I didn't want to move. I was so in pain. My back was sore. My knees were sore. I still think I'm 30 in my head. I look in the mirror and I know I'm not. But we have to remember that about our retirement. We don't have the luxury of time. We don't have the luxury to have all the money on the casino on black.
Right.
Because if I lose it, what's the big deal? I'll make some more. That time of earnings getting closer to the end for us. We go from the wealth accumulation stage where we're saving, investing, growing, taking risk to wealth management, pulling the money from which bucket? How are we going to take it? We have Social Security as one set of income for both of us if we're married. We have, maybe we have a pension if you're lucky enough, really blessed if you have a pension. We have bucket A, bucket B, bucket C. How are we going to fill our needs? How are we going to fill our wants? How are we going to do everything we want to do? That's what this stage is getting ready for, getting those buckets lined up. We had some tax plans come out, the one big beautiful bill.
Yep.
The Trump era tax brackets extended have been made, I'm using air quotations, permanent. Well, I say permanent with air quotations because they're only permanent until the next administration comes. We're still in a low tax, so maybe a Roth makes sense for people, converting some qualified 401k into a Roth account. Maybe, but we have to do it in stages, and that comes with the tax strategy. If you're thinking about doing Roth conversions, if you're thinking about how to be in a better place, how to save money for tomorrow, call me at 302-330-2166, and let's have that conversation. Let's start the stepping process. We had clients come in and family members who have been with me now for 4 years. He had questions, it's a husband and wife, about should it too late for me to start Roth conversions, George? How much can I do? Now, Paul asked me when he came in, can I do $200,000? And first off, our conversation was you do not make a broad brush like that. It's just a number you pull out of thin air. We're going to do a pro forma tax return. So what's that mean, Mark? We're going to look at last year's tax return, implement it into today's year, 2025, and see how much room we have to play with, what the cost will be for this. What was that word I used? The cost. There's a fee to pay that, right? When you do the Roth conversion, you're making this taxable instrument later non-taxable by paying taxes today. We'll put that together and let's see what the cost is. Does it benefit you? Call me at 302-330-2166 because I hate to say this to you, it doesn't benefit everybody.
Yeah.
It's not right for each of us, and we have to make sure it makes sense. When you come in the office, Mark, when we sit down and talk, if it doesn't make sense, you don't do it. I don't care about your brother doing it. I don't care about your best friend in Chicago saying, well, it's time. They are not you. You are special, folks. And when you come in, that's how I treat you. Because your plan is for you, not for someone else. 302-330-2166.
Insurance and annuities offered through George Politarhos, Delaware Insurance License Number 1373121. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.